So I wanted to talk about the other woman. We've been talking about one of the other women in Chris Watts's life. We've been talking a lot about Nicole Kessinger, and I thought we'd talk about the first other woman in Chris's life, which was his mother. And she did a recent interview with Seeking the Truth with Dave in January, and I thought we would listen to that. But first, I wanted to listen to one of her first interviews she gave so that we can kind of compare and contrast. I have mixed feelings about Cindy Watts. I'm not going to lie. A lot of the things that she says and does appalls me, but I do have sympathy for her and empathy for her because as I was getting ready with this live, I thought a lot about like, what must it be like to have birthed a monster? And I know he doesn't like to be called a monster, but I think what he did was monstrous. And to me, he's a monster. So, what would it be like to have birthed a monster? I mean, I know she must feel immense responsibility. The weight of the world must be on her shoulders. So, in that, I have sympathy for her. She did lose 3 grandchildren. So, yeah, I do have sympathy for her, but I also get very angry with her in the way she has handled this. But I don't know how I would handle things. Well, actually, I know I wouldn't handle it the way she handled it. But I mean, I say things that are wrong too. So let's see what she has to say. Let me get my screen ready for you guys. Okay. As always, we won't watch the entire video, but this one is only 22 minutes long, and I think we will watch this entire video, but I'll stop and start it. I will put the link down in the description so you can watch it in its entirety. Everything that I say is my own opinion, my own research. I urge you to go out there and do the same. Let's make sure you can see the screen. Let me move myself around too. I like to hang out down in the bottom when I do this. You dislike Cindy? Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. I really can. Hi, ladies. It's good to see you. Okay, so here we go. This is Parawoman Radio, and I'm Amy, and we're going over the other lady, the first other lady in Chris Watts's life, the lady that I'm sure wishes is the only lady in Chris's life, and really, she's probably the most important lady again now in his life. I mean, I'm sure he has girlfriends, but they're the ones that put the money on his book, so I'm sure she's the most important lady, and that probably makes her happy.
To get through it. I just don't know how to get through it.
Tell me about his childhood. Did he play sports? Was he in Scout?
If I had to guess as to a possible diagnosis, I would put Cindy Watts as having a lot of borderline personality traits. And those people can be very difficult. They have to be the center of attention. The world has to revolve around them, even when you're revolving. When it seems like you're their world, you're still revolving around them, whether you know it or not. And I would put her as more like that. I grew up with a lot of borderlines, and so I think I recognize it, but I would never diagnose anybody.
What kinds of things did
Yes,
he
he
do?
played sports. He played sports from the time he was 5 years old up until he was 17. And he was in basketball, he was in baseball, he was in football. And loved NASCAR. He and his dad went to the NASCAR races all the time. Loved sports. And he was a good kid. Had two best friends, and that's who he grew up with, and still are friends with them today. And there's nothing that would have predicted any of this could have ever happened.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I mean, I know I've heard a lot of things about Cindy, and I don't know if any of them have been confirmed about like how she was with him growing up. Like I've heard rumors that he would lock himself away in the bathroom just to get away from her, and she would be underneath the door with, asking putting her mouth underneath the door and asking how he was and what he was doing and what was wrong. I don't know if has that ever been proven that that's true, or is that just speculation?
Nothing in his childhood at all. I would have never in a million years thought something like this could happen to him at all.
You didn't see things like him getting into fights? Or...
No fighting.
And I do remember a friend of Chris's growing up came on and said that Chris was very domineering growing up, like very domineering, and he liked to see people in emotional pain.
Quiet. And he got along with people. And he didn't start anything. And
we just watched a video, I think it was the last one we did, on an Anadarko employee, and they said that Chris was a hothead. That surprised me. That's why I don't, it's all hearsay. It can't be proven because but I mean, a hothead, why does a hothead surprise me? He just he unalived his entire family. I don't know why that surprises me.
He was a perfect teenager, tell you the truth. He did not even rebel. He wanted to go to NASCAR Tech. We made that possible for him.
What did he do after he finished school?
He worked at the dealership as a service technician and was making good money and loved it. He bought a toolbox, and he started buying his tools and enjoyed it. He was doing well.
When and where did he meet Shanann?
They met, and he liked her, she liked him, but I don't think it was love at first sight or anything.
She has to throw in that, but she liked him, he liked her, but it wasn't love at first sight or anything. I mean, it just wasn't anything special. I mean, it's just something that happened. I mean, it changed the whole course of his life, but it was nothing special or different.
They took a little while and I guess got to know each other and, dated.
I'm feeling a little sarcastic today, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm having pain issues. And when I'm in pain, I get a little extra snarky. So please forgive me for my snark today. Just enjoy it. In my heart, I do try to be good in my heart.
It was always a little strange that she always said a lot of things about Chris in front of me that I didn't like.
Just like you say a lot of things about Shanann in front of the world that maybe is inappropriate.
This isn't the kind of person I would date. He doesn't know how to do this, or he doesn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
He looks like
Sherry, yes. Right? He was never close to his mother. He was close to his father. Like when the crimes happened, he didn't want his mother there. And he's, to this day, I don't think he's even told his mother or his father what happened. It's just, it's hard. She never accepted the murder that he murdered his family. I know, right? I have such a hard time remembering these words that we got to say on YouTube. He got in trouble like wait, he got in trouble like his brother as a kid's some too. Wait, he got in trouble like his brother as a kid some too. Who's he? Who's who, who's Chris's brother? Satan's mother is evil as he is. Thanks, Tabby. I took some Tylenol before I started, so it should start feeling better. Um, yeah, I don't believe her at all either. I haven't pre-listened to this new interview she gave in January of 2024, so I am curious to see if she's changing. I played a little snippet, but we'll see if she changes her tune. I don't think she did. Dave is still around. He's over on um what is it called? Rumble. He's over on Rumble, and so the new interview is up over there, and we're gonna listen to it.
Skater boy. Look at his hair. Look how much stuff he puts on his hair. It was just on and on and on, and I just got a bad feeling.
Then they got married in 2012. Did they get married in North Carolina?
They did.
How was that?
We didn't attend.
Really?
We didn't attend because Shanann and I just couldn't get along, and I didn't like the way she treated him.
What do you know about their marriage and their issues?
In this interviewer, like he's not even asking the questions. I didn't like the way she treated him. What do you mean? How did she treat him? I mean, like follow the question.
Very little, very little. You can only observe. I could only observe what I saw when I was around them. Christopher always seemed anxious, and when she needed something, I mean, he would run. He wouldn't walk, he would run, he would get it. He just always seemed to be right there at her beck and call.
Isn't that how all relationships in the beginning, that when people are falling in love, you're just there for the person. You want to be there. You want to do things. And she's begrudging Shanann because he wanted to do those things for her. I was married to a guy that the way that he showed his love for me was that he did things for me. And I mean, people that are shy, that's often how they express their love is my ex-husband wasn't the person for me, but he's still a good guy, don't get me wrong, and the way he treated me in the beginning was beautiful. And I think it's beautiful when people do things for other people, because you're so used to having to do it for yourself that when you find somebody that can help make your life easier, I mean, that's freaking beautiful.
And did that seem odd to you? Or?
Very odd. It was very odd. He just seemed nervous.
So how much did you see them over these last 6 years?
Probably twice a year. We would go up there.
Did you stay with them? Or?
Yeah, we would stay with them and stay a week.
In her big house, yeah.
Tell me about
that she built.
Bella and Celeste.
Oh, Bella was just like Chris. Just like him, shy, cautious, conservative. Cece was.
They did a lot of too much of the comparing, like, yeah, Cece was a rampage, more like Shanann, and Bella was more kind and whatever. But you have to be careful not to pigeonhole your kids into these labels. I mean, because they can be more than one thing. They can be a mixture of both parents. They can, I don't know.
A ball of fire. I mean, she was fearless, completely fearless. She just loved to run. So they were wonderful. It breaks my heart to know that they're not here. They were beautiful children, beautiful children.
What did they call you?
Mimi.
Mimi. And about Ronnie, what did they call?
Papa.
She does light up a little bit as she's talking about the girls. I will give her that.
Do you think Chris loves Shanann?
Oh God, he loved her. Yes, I believe
And
he
she
loved
does
her.
admit that. At least she couldn't admit that he was all about her. It bothered her, but at least she can admit it.
First, I believe he did. But I think as the years went on, I think it just being in that kind of a relationship, which the social worker even said that marriage should have ended a long time ago.
Shenan's pregnancy and
What social worker is she talking about? Is she talking about the lady that spoke for them in the trial, the court appointed? Oh, she's not a grief counselor. What was she? She was she was the victim advocate. That's what it was. Junie, be nice to your little sister. Stop it. Is that the social worker she's talking about? The victim advocate?
Tell you about that. Was he excited?
No, I don't think he was. I think it was a shock to him. And he said that they have been talking about divorce, that they are not compatible anymore, and he was not happy anymore. And I finally thought he's finally seen the light.
And I take it Chris had never been in trouble with the law.
Never. He's got one speeding ticket and didn't even know about that.
If only he had just followed through with the divorce. If only he had done that. If only he was being truthful with his parents when he wrote that stupid letter about wanting the divorce, and if anything happens, look at his wife.
What happened?
I mean, to me, that shows that he was pre-planning whatever the heck it was he actually did. I mean, I believe he did it all personally, but I know that some of you believe otherwise. But I mean, but he did do some of it, and I don't know.
Were reported missing. What did you find out? How did you find out? Who told you?
I think Ronnie called me. Ronnie called me and said that they're missing, and I thought, I don't believe it. I didn't believe they were missing. I believe that she was going to punish Chris. She was just going to punish him, take the girls, and just punish him.
I'm sure he also, when he told them that he was planning on the divorce, he probably was afraid that she was going to kick him out of the house, because that was the first thing she did on that one fight that they had. So he probably was like telling his mom that, like, she'll probably kick me out or run away, or, like preparing her for her to do something horrible.
Of anything else. Christopher called.
Come here, baby.
And said, Mom,
no.
They're searching the house. I said, okay, that's fine. I mean, and I still was not worried. I was not worried. I just thought Shanann had run off with girls.
So walk me through the sequence of events over the next few days. Did you and your husband travel to Colorado?
Ronnie did.
Okay.
Ronnie did. And I mean, Christopher let everybody come in. Her phone is there. Her purse is there. Everything is there. And
because he couldn't get rid of it.
Kids, and there's no Shanann. And
he didn't have time to get rid of it.
I was not worried. I thought, she has just gone off, and I'm going to punish you for this, and you can worry about me. But when Christopher called us and he said, I said, do you want us to come down now? He said, tell Dad I need him. Tell Dad I need him to come down. I said, what about me? He said, no, Mom, just stay. Just send Dad. And he picked him up at the airport, and they drove to the police station.
And I'm sorry if my son said that they wanted their dad to come down because my children were missing and my spouse. I would have came regardless. You're not going to tell me where to stay and where to go. No.
And Chris still didn't say anything to him. Nothing. He had already been interrogated 7 hours prior to that. He had already let the police go into his home, search everything.
Was he tired and hungry?
And he was going in for another interrogation. The next thing, after 5 hours, they called Ronnie and said that your son wants to talk to you before he tells us anything. And that's when.
I also want to say that in the beginning, I thought Ronnie was a pretty decent guy, but the more he talks about Shanann, he's not any nicer. He just comes off nicer. Let me see what you guys are saying over in chat. Me too. Oh yeah, the weather. Yeah, it's even cold in Florida. Chris is a carbon copy of her. Yep. Only Chris knows what happened. Whether we'll get the truth out of him. Yeah, who knows if he's ever going to tell the truth. And even if he did tell the truth, is he like, how would we know he's telling the truth? Because hasn't he given like 3? Has it been 3 confessions? It was the one in the police station, the one in prison, and then the one with Sherilyn Cadle.
Christopher broke down and cried and said, "I'm sorry, Dad." He said, "I went into a rage and I killed her after she killed Cece and Bella." And he found out where he is, and then they wouldn't let him see him. He couldn't see him. And so he was going back to the airport when his public defender called him and told him to come back. And that's when Ronnie met his public defender. And so talked to her for a while. And they kept in touch with us and let us know what's going on.
And then what was the next update that you got? Was it?
The next update I got was Ronnie called Jamie and told them they found their body. And they rushed over here. Nobody told me anything until they walked through the door. And they told me what happened, and I just fell to the floor. I just fell to the floor. It was unbelievable. And it's been unbelievable ever since. And
what did his attorneys tell you about contact with him, starting with his arrest?
No contact. Everything is recorded. No contact. No letter writing. I didn't see the harm in the letters. Hi, son. Love you. Keep fighting.
But why should he be able to have the letters when nobody else in the jail can have the letters? When this is their protocol. The harm is that you believe that you are above their protocol.
We are here to support you. What is wrong with that? What can the DA do about letters like this? Why couldn't we just write him a letter?
Because it wasn't allowed.
We did what we were told to do. When they called us to tell us that Chris was thinking of a plea, that he wanted to speak to us about it. And when we got down there, it was a lie. They wouldn't let us talk to him about anything. And then we had to talk to him through a screen and a phone. And he just looked, he was crying. I mean,
I know to this day, they still talk about the fact that they couldn't overnight the letter, that they had to talk to him on the screen, that they couldn't see him in person. How many people's mom and dad are allowed to do that? Is that like something that every prisoner is allowed? Their mom and dad's just allowed to parade in and do whatever and write them letters because there's no harm in it?
He wasn't crying. You could see the movement in his mouth that when I talked about Bella and I talked about
there's no harm in getting a divorce and just letting your family live.
See, in the memorial service that we had for them, and he asked what pictures did we use, and what was the song. You can see how he was trying to hold back tears.
What day was that? Do you remember?
Well, we flew in on that Monday. We flew in on Monday, and we saw him Monday night, and then the plea deal was on Tuesday.
So Monday night was when you wanted to talk to him about it?
Yes, and we weren't allowed. And it would have helped us so much to be able to talk to him. I wouldn't have to go through all this now. Everything just seems to be shrouded in secrecy. And just tell us what is going on. Let us ask Chris if it's okay if you talk to us. I just don't like the way it was handled from the very beginning. I don't like the way it was handled. I want to save your life. That's all. We're just here. We're going to save his life. We want him to get life in prison. It was like they already knew he was guilty.
You didn't. They already knew he was guilty because he said he was guilty. Yeah.
And this was the end of it.
Were you worried about the death penalty being a possibility?
No, I didn't care about the death penalty.
She wasn't worried about the death penalty, but this was his life that they were fighting for.
Nobody's going to die in Colorado. I don't think anyone has. One person? And Colorado is changing. So people stay on death row forever. I think he'd be safer on death row. And her parents said they didn't want any more death. So I don't see how the death penalty could have mattered. All I want is the truth. I just want the truth. That's it. And I know Chris would take responsibility. And I guess
I didn't realize that Chris was in the same prison that Jeffrey Dahmer was murdered in or schmurdered in. Did you guys know that? I always think like, okay, well, he's pretty safe, was Jeffrey the one was Jeffrey the one that was down the street? I think no. Yeah, I think that's what it was. He was in the one down the street.
Maybe he is. I don't know. I don't know. I just can't see him doing that.
What do you think the truth is about how Shanann and Bella and Celeste died?
Oh God, I don't know anymore. Honestly, I don't know his frame of mind, and I don't know his frame of mind, because why would you plead guilty to something you didn't do? And that's all I want to know. Why would you plead guilty if you didn't do it? If you told your dad you didn't do it? And that's what I want to know.
Sir, you're going to go in the back.
And they said, well, you'll find all that out. Christopher
Stop
will
it.
talk to you when and after he's sentenced. Well, isn't that too late then? And isn't it too late? What if he tells me, no, I didn't do it? I just took this plea deal because they told me I was going to go to jail anyways. I just want the truth. All of us just want the truth. That's all. But I would like to know what triggered it. Can a normal young man,
And the only
he's normal.
person that will give you the truth is your son. And that's the person that you need to be badgering every single day if you want the truth. All right, sir. Nobody's talking to you. Right?
Well, he was normal, but he wasn't evaluated when he came into the system. He wasn't normal if he did this.
Must be bewildering.
It's bewildering to me. It is. It is absolutely. How does this happen? How did this happen? And I go back in my mind thinking, was there something I didn't pick up with on Chris? But I can't think of anything except he was quiet.
It sounds like in your own mind, you're unsure as to what happened.
Yes.
Have you reconciled the idea that he could have done all of this?
Yes. And that scares me to death. It scares me to death to think that he could have done all of this. And I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there right now. But I don't see why he's pleading guilty. I wouldn't. I'd fight. I'd fight to the end. But then you ask yourself, would a normal person dispose of the bodies the way he did? And I would have called 911 if it happened like that.
What would you say to Chris right now if he were sitting here?
If we were by ourselves?
If it happened the way that Chris initially said it happened, everybody would have called 911. Cindy.
Yeah.
I would say, Christopher, I need to know what happened that night. I need to know what happened. I've got to get these thoughts out of my head. What I think could have happened, but I need to know. And I think in time he will tell me.
Probably nothing you ever would have imagined you would have faced.
Never. No, and not from the son that I raised and Ronnie raised and our children. You know, we just did everything for them. We worked for them. We wanted them to have a good life, good education, and we stressed education. And they were both doing well. I thought, I knew marriages can be bad, but you can get out of them and go on.
Amen to that.
But I don't know what was going through anybody's mind that night. I mean, I feel too much. I mean, I definitely feel everything way too much and have a conscience that I just feel way too much.
What do you want to happen now? What would you hope would happen now?
Well, I want Chris to have his day in court. I mean, I need to know. I'd feel wonderful if I could talk to him and he could tell me what happened. And then we can all go on. But if he didn't do it, if he did not do this, then I need somebody to defend him. I need someone to defend him if he did not do this. Do they have the evidence? He's my son. I've got to do everything. I've got to do everything I can to help to make sure that he is defended properly. But he said this is his decision, so I don't know. There's doubt. I have doubt that he did. I can't see that he did it. I just cannot see him doing that as much as he loved his girls. How do you do that? I just don't see it.
How do you do that?
I just can't see him doing it. I just wanted to make sure that he has, I just wanted a defense. I wanted him to be defended.
And you haven't had any discussions with his attorneys about this?
No. I asked them, do you know what happened? They said, no. We don't. Only person that knows what happened is Chris. Well, then he's told you his story, in the affidavit. They said they would defend him if he wanted to go forward, but he said he didn't want to go forward.
And the bottom line is you would have likely been part of that discussion with him before you made that decision.
That's what I thought we were going down there for. At least let us talk.
That is actually the bottom line of all the anger and I wish this and I if he'd done this, if she had been included in all of this, what then would she be saying? That's my, like, what would be her excuses then? Because these are her excuses, but if those excuses were all taken care of and she had been part of it, what then would be her upset?
It would have made all the difference in the world if they would have just let us talk to him. If he was going to do this, what difference does it make who's listening? But he has our love. He has our unconditional love. I will never abandon my son. He did a horrible, horrible, if that comes to pass that he did this, then I still love him. He's my son. And I will always love him. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I don't understand that, why they don't.
Well, could you talk a little bit about some things we talked about yesterday? You said, I think your exact words were, he's not the psychopath next door.
He isn't. He's not the sociopath next door. He's not the psychopath. He didn't kill little small animals. He didn't do any of these things. He was a good child.
That you know.
I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything that was abnormal about him, except he was socially awkward. You know, he had trouble socializing, but so did I when I was younger. I think you learn that as you grow. And I think he felt a little bit more comfortable in his skin. And he just, I don't think he just had the right person at his side. I don't. That relationship was toxic from the very beginning.
What would you say to Shanann's family if you could talk to them?
God, I'm so sorry this happened. You know, for both our families, because we both lost everything. You know, they lost a daughter. We lost our son. We lost our grandchildren.
Still alive, Cindy.
We all lost. Everybody did. And
you get to talk
you'll
to
never
your
get it
son
back.
still.
And they
You
were
get to
precious.
go see
They were
him.
so, so precious.
Yeah. I feel like Nicole Kessinger is a lot like Cindy. I feel like he was definitely marrying his mother if he were to go the NK route. Oh, you're really close then, huh? You gonna go visit? Just kidding. Oh, you're 1 to 2 hours? Well, that's still close. She will only feel better when Chris goes off on Shanann and blames everything on her. Yeah, that's really what would make her feel good if he did that. I emphasize. Hi, Robert, by the way. I emphasize for the grandparents. She lost grandchildren and her son. Chris is her son. She can't imagine it's true. What parent can? She also lost her son. Yep, I do. I feel exactly that same way. But then she goes and she bashes the victims. That's the problem I have with her. I feel horrible for her. She lost her son. Well, she has in a sense lost her son, but I think Chris is pretty comfy where he is. He doesn't have to make any big decisions, and I think that's just the way he likes it. But yeah. Oh, you would like to visit him? I would like you to visit him too, because then I'd want to interview you. Okay, so moving on. This is really quick. I'm going to show this really quick, and then we're going to go to the interview she gave in January. But I found this. I hadn't seen this before. It was Cindy Watts, August 14th, 2021. Comments made on a True Scam Live. What Cindy says will shock you. Hold on. I'm going to turn off the music and I will read it. Okay, it says, Cindy Watts, Chris will never cooperate. Cindy Watts, I know Chris, and if we were ever threatened, he will never speak up. Who's threatening them, though? That's my question. Cindy says, I would never have come on this channel if Tammy wasn't a friend. I can't see he could have murdered his family. I know him. So this was in 2021 that she was saying this. She says he's gentle. He said what he said in Wisconsin to stop it. He is a prisoner and didn't have rights. He told them what they wanted to hear and what he heard. I don't know what was being talked about, but obviously she's still defending him. I never knew Shanann was anything but working at Dirty South. Um, there's been rumors that she was doing illegal things at Dirty South. I can't confirm or deny that. No one would No one would talk to me. We've asked for DNA on Nico. We've asked for his phone. Nothing. They have made. Chris told NK that the baby wasn't his, and he must have told that to his parents too, because they, to this day, I think, want the DNA. But didn't they do a DNA on Nico? I don't know. I thought they did. She says, we wanted to talk again to the public defenders, but no one will talk to us. We have tried, but nothing happens. You have to have influence or money. There is something very wrong in this case. I'll agree with that. She says he did break up with her that night he chose his family. What? It would really help if we could see what was being said and what these responses are in response to. She says, something went wrong. What can I say? No one cares. Chris is in prison and is not trying to get out. When Chris had nothing to live for, he wouldn't care. He told us his family was gone and he didn't care anymore. Where's NK? It's all too much. There are people involved that are powerful. Whoa, she's been drinking the Kool-Aid, though, I think. That was in 1921. I'll put the link to this down below. I also wanted to include this really quick. Over here on Crime Talk, we talk a lot about, like, what did the Watts get, and we're gonna hear about them taking the roost checks to court for that money for the girls. I want you guys to hear this. Hold on. Oops.
I have said regarding the 12 undeniable truths of life from a criminal defense attorney. Yes, rule number 1, it's always about the money. And when they say it's not about the money, then you know it's about the money. Okay. Well, take a listen to this story. Now, Chis Watts, obviously in prison for the rest of his life, having pled guilty for the death of Shanann Watts, his 2 daughters, Celeste and Bella, and also his unborn child. He will never get out of custody. It's simply not going to happen. But what has come out recently, and frankly, this kind of flew under the radar. Chis Watts, while working at Anadarko Petroleum, signed up as part of his employee benefit plan for life insurance. And he listed the people covered by the life insurance, not only obviously if he were to pass away, but if Shanann and Bella and Celeste were to pass away. The payout for these 3 individuals would be some $450,000. Needless to say, Chis Watts will never share in those proceeds. And thank goodness. Now, had Chis Watts got away.
It's always interesting to me that Chis Watts is not allowed to make any money off of his crime, but yet we see Miss Gypsy Rose, she's a millionaire off of her crime.
Death of Shanann and Bella and Celeste, he would have pocketed some $450,000. But since he was arrested, ultimately confessed, pled guilty, and is serving a life sentence, he is no longer entitled to those funds as a result of the Colorado Slayer statute, which basically says if you are responsible for the death of somebody who is deceased and covered by a policy and you had something to do with, you obviously cannot profit from that. So the situation then becomes what to do with the money. Well, let me give you a quick lesson as it relates to interpleader. It is a tool that's used primarily by insurance companies. And in this particular case, the insurance company, Zurich American Insurance Company, which was to pay out on the life insurance policy, had multiple claims to those proceeds. Now, the first person seeking the funds to the proceeds from the insurance policy were Franklin Ruzek, which is Shanann Watts' father. And he was doing that on behalf of the estate. So let me give you a quick explanation of interpleader. This is a tool that's available under the rules of civil procedure in, just as far as I know, every state, as well as in federal court. And in this particular case, Zurich American Insurance Company, the people that had the policy that would have to pay out on the policy, said, hey, we're not sure what to do here, Judge. We have Franklin Ruzek as the personal representative of the estate of Shanann Watts. We have Franklin Ruzek individually, and then we also have Sandy Ruzek claiming money as it relates to this insurance policy, some $450,000. To make things even more complicated, then you have Ronnie and Cindy Watts, who are obviously Chris Watts' parents, saying, no, we're entitled to that money. So the insurance company says, hey, hold on. We understand that we have this money and we have to pay it to someone. We're willing to pay it, but it's not our job or our responsibility to decide who gets the money. So Zurich American Insurance Company filed this interpleader action. They list everybody who's making a claim to these monies and list them as a defendant. And then it is upon the court ultimately to decide who gets money and in what amounts, if any. Now, of course, that doesn't assume that the parties can reach a settlement, which you can do at any time. And you'll hear as the story develops here, that's what took place. There's a lot of interesting issues that come in as it relates to this interpleader action. First, we talked about.
I think he could, MK. I really do. I think he's on some kind of spectrum for sure. But he's never said it, and his parents have never said it.
The Slayer statute, which says if you're responsible for the death of somebody, you can't then profit from their death by collecting insurance proceeds. Makes a lot of sense. Well, then who would it then go to? The first thought would be that it would go to Shanann Watts, Christopher Watts' wife. But she obviously predeceased him, and she predeceased the children. Now, sometimes in insurance policy cases, it can become very tricky. And I've seen it, for example, in plane crash cases as to who passes away first, particularly if somebody doesn't have a will, where does it go? Now, normally, the beneficiary of the policy would have been Christopher Watts. Had his family died of natural causes in a horrible accident, he would have gotten the money. But since he was responsible for those, he's not entitled to it per statute. So since he has no other relatives, i.e. a wife and children to pass the money on to, then the question goes, would it go to his parents? Then you have the Ruzek saying, oh no, we're entitled to that money because we are the personal representative to the estate and he should not benefit, or his family should not benefit in any way by receiving these funds. And as I've stated, this is the reason.
You feel like Chris Watts' family should have benefited in any way from his crimes?
Why Zurich filed an interpleader. Now, this matter didn't go very far. The first filings in this case date back to June of this year, and the order regarding dismissal and disbursement of funds was not until September of this year. Now, I'll be honest with you. We follow the Watts case, but we don't follow every courthouse to search for records for the Watts case. But in this particular case, it is public record, and we were able to get all of the filings, which are public information. Now, the matter did settle, and the funds, some $450,000, was made payable to the Ruzek's attorney's Holtaff, or their trust account, for disbursement. And in the motion for the dismissal and disbursement, the parties state that they have all settled. Now, we don't know because that information doesn't get filed with the court. So it's unclear.
So it's been settled and we don't know what it was settled for. We don't know how much the Watts got and how much the Ruzeks got. It's just been settled. I also thought this was interesting. I'm almost there, guys. We're coming to the last interview. But has anyone read this? The Cindy Watts, A Woman of Strength and Love, a True Crime Case Opinion essay? Cindy Watts, A Woman of Strength and Love, is a true story case opinion essay written to explore the relationship between Cindy Watts and her daughter-in-law, Shanann, leading up to the early mornings hours of August 13th, 2018. Would anybody be interested in me buying that and doing a review? It's written by Brenda Irish Hunselman. She's a realtor. Anybody interested in me doing that? If you are, just put something down in the comment or in the chat and I will know that you're interested. And now we're coming into the home stretch. You guys could give this live a thumbs up. Helps us go out into the algorithm, a heart,